Hello friends, everyone, if you're still caring to watch. Today is March 12th, and it's another beautiful day. This whole week has been beautiful. It's been gorgeous. We've gotten some good news. My husband and I are a bit famous. We've been in the newspaper on Wednesday. It's finally warm enough to wear short sleeves, and it's just wonderful. I feel better. Spring isn't my favorite season, but it's one of the best. The birds have come back and they're starting to sing, and there's a few trees around that have started to bud out. In fact, the one just a little bit ways away is got its white flowers on it already. And we've been sneezing, but we've been out. We've gone on a couple of picnics and walking, so it's just the perfect season. And I thought, what a gorgeous day, and I believe it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so I thought I can't pass up the opportunity to share another story. So we are in volume 3 of the My Bible Friends, and today we are reading A Room and a Boy. And this story is found in 2 Kings 4. I hope it's not too bright to see the pictures. The woman of Shunem stood on the doorstep of her flat-roof mud brick home. She shaded her eyes with her hand and looked down the dusty road that led by her door. Have you ever shaded your eyes like that? Prophet Elisha and his helper come this way, she said to her husband, the man of Shunem, who was sharpening his sickle under an olive tree. The prophet walks slowly and leans hard on his staff. I'll invite him and his helper to stop by and have bread and drink with us. And here she is at her house, and her husband, there's the olive tree, and he's sharpening his sickle. He's obviously some kind of field, works with the field, the farmer. Maybe he's getting ready to harvest this grain. And here comes the prophet and his servant down the dusty road. Prophet Elisha thanked the woman of Shunem for the bread and the drink. When she invited him to stay and rest a while, he said, Nay, we must hurry on. The sun is low and we have far to go. As she watched the tired men climb the hill, she said to her husband, Let's build a room on the roof of our house so that when the prophet comes this way, we may invite him to stay the night. So here's the prophet and his servant going on, just about to round the bend. And the woman and the man, they're thinking about building a room on their house. Brick upon brick with mortar between, the man and the woman of Shunem built a room on the roof of their house. The bricks were made of mud and dried in the sun. Brick upon brick with mortar between, until the walls were just the right height. Then a flat roof they built over the room, and last of all, a stairway leading up to it. That way, the prophet would have privacy. They are fixing their little place. There's the tree. They got up to the roof with a ladder until they build the stairs. Some people might have built the stairs and then built the room. But they probably wanted to be sure that they had a room to build. For some reason, they're not giving names in this story. They just call them the man and the woman of Shunem. But for some reason, that just wasn't important. It was important what they did and how they acted and just their attitudes on life. In the new room, the woman of Shunem placed a bed and a stool, a table for the prophet's Bible, and a candlestick for him to read by. Every day the woman of Shunem watched to see if Prophet Elisha and his helper were coming along the dusty road. Here she's lighting his candle. Now, they didn't have Bibles like you and I. They had scrolls, so that was their Bible. And they only had probably, this is Elisha, so this is the book of 2 Kings. So, it would just be a scroll, and it would probably be the first 5 books, which they called the Pentateuch, or the Torah, one of those two. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and they might have had the book of Job. And then the kings that had come before. So they probably had some Psalms. They had stories of David and Solomon and all the kings up till then, possibly. Late one day, the prophet and his helper came by. The woman of Shunem invited them in to have bread and to stay the night. When the prophet saw the new room, he was pleased, very pleased. "What can we do to repay your kindness?" he asked. "Would you have us speak to the king or the captain of the army for you?" "Nay, my lord," said the woman of Shunem. "My husband and I do not want any pay." And here they are. They're showing them. See, they've just come up the stairs here. This is the husband and the wife and the prophet and his servant, and they're admiring the new room. But Prophet Elisha wished to do a kindness for the woman and the man of Shunem, because of their kindness to him. What could it be? "I have noticed," said his helper, "that they have no son." When the woman of Shunem again stood at the door, Prophet Elisha said, "We shall pray God, and this time next year he will send you and your husband a baby son." The woman of Shunem was pleased, very pleased. In the Bible, it says that the man was old, and women back in the Bible times didn't have very many, hardly any rights. They were to stay home and raise the children and take care of the house, and they weren't allowed to have jobs or anything. A lot of women took up prostitution because that was one thing that they could do, but that was, it put a scar on society, on you in society. So when her husband died, she would be a widow and probably be forced to beg. She might have been taken in by some family that had felt sorry for her, but really her prospect when her husband died was there wouldn't be much life. So when they said she's going to have a son, she can't hardly believe it. She said, "I hope you're telling the truth, because, did I ever ask for a son? But a son would grow up and take care of his parents." So when her husband died, her son would be the caretaker of her, make some money and feed her. It happened just as Prophet Elisha had said. The next year, a baby boy was born to the woman and the man of Shunem. The baby's father and mother were sure that he was one of the finest and fairest babies in all of the country round about Shunem. And shouldn't he be? Wasn't he a prayed-for baby? The picture of the baby was so cute in his little bed. And it has to be a boy so he can take care of his mom. And she would have been happy to have any kind of child, probably, but a little boy, he's just the cutest. As the baby grew to be a boy, he and Prophet Elisha became good friends. Now it was the boy who watched the dusty road to see if the prophet and his helper were coming. "He's coming! Prophet Elisha is coming!" he would shout, and race down the road to meet him. From there to the mud brick house, the prophet had double help in walking, his staff on one side and the boy on the other. He's very happy to see the prophet. Of course, he's got his servant with him to help if the load gets too much, if he has trouble walking. Just lost my list of books, stories I have to read next, but... When the boy was as tall as a bundle of barley, he begged to go to the harvest field. He couldn't cut grain with a sharp sickle, not yet, but he could pick up the grain that the reapers cut, and he did. The sun shone hot, very hot, on his head. Suddenly he dropped his armful of grain. My head, he cried. "Carry the boy to his mother," said the man of Shunem to a young helper. He might have had sunstroke or some other malady. There's his grain sheafy. It hasn't quite hit the ground yet. See, they're out, that beautiful golden field that was in the beginning, they're out cutting it now. Whatever he had, his head hurts. All morning long, the woman of Shunem held the small boy on her lap and sponged his head with cool water. At noon, she saw that he no longer breathed. She carried him to the prophet's room and gently laid him on the prophet's bed. Then she called to her husband, "Send me a young man and your fastest mule. I wish to ride to the prophet's house." And she's carrying him up the steps, and you can see he's passed away. He's a bluish color. And the mother loved him so much, so she's going to take him upstairs to the prophet's room that they had built for him. The woman of Shunem saddled the donkey while the young man saddled another. "Ride fast," said the woman of Shunem. "Ride as fast as you can." They rode so fast that the donkeys left a swirling cloud of gray dust behind them. The woman of Shunem rode straight to the prophet's door and told him what had happened to the prayed-for boy. And there they go really fast, and there's their dust clouds behind. Prophet Elisha went home with the woman of Shunem, climbed the stairs to his room. He opened the door, and there on the bed lay his little friend. His eyes were closed, his cheeks were pale, his hands were cold. "Dear Lord," prayed Prophet Elisha, "show me what to do and make the boy live." There he is, and there's the little boy in his room. He was sad. Prophet Elisha stretched his body over the little boy to warm him. He put his hands on the boy's hands. He put his cheek against the boy's cheek. He breathed into his mouth. Twice the prophet did this, and all of the time he was praying. The little boy became warm. His cheeks turned pink. He opened his eyes. He sneezed 7 times. When he saw his prophet friend, he smiled. There he is waking up in the middle of a sneeze. And Elisha's sitting on the bed with him. Prophet Elisha sent for the boy's mother. "Take up your son," he said. "He is well." The woman of Shunem knelt before the prophet. "How can I thank you?" she asked. The prophet said, "It was God who made your boy well. Thank him. Take up your son and be happy." And she took him up. Now her son was not only a prayed-for boy, he was a made-well boy besides. First, Elisha sent Gehazi on to the boy with a staff. And he was to take Elisha's staff and touch the boy's face with it. But the boy didn't wake up, and the mother wouldn't go home without Elisha. So they followed along behind, and when they got there, of course, the boy was still dead. And so Elisha came in and did exactly what I just told you. He put his hands to the boy's hands, his cheek to his cheek, kind of like laying on top of somebody, but you're putting your warmth on them. I'm sure he did it gently, because this is just a little boy. But cheek to cheek, hands to hands, face to face, and through that and praying, the little boy became alive again. That evening, we think we see the woman of Shunem sitting on the doorstep of her mud brick home, holding close her made-well boy. The man of Shunem joins them and points to the room on the roof. "We thought to do a kindness when we built the room, but the kindness has come back to us twice over." "Kindness always comes back," says the woman of Shunem. "Kindness comes back," whispers the sleepy boy. There they are, sitting on their step. They're pointing to the room, and Elisha must be in there, maybe with his servant, because the light's on. I don't think they just left the lamp burning. And that's the woman of Shunem. One Christmas, I got I got a tape back in the day with 2 books, and there was 2 stories on it. One was Balaam's donkey, and the other one was called The Boy Who Was Brought Back to Life. Excuse me. And it was this exact same story about the little boy. And he's saying kindness always comes back. Well, first they thought they were helping out Elisha, and so they built the room. But then Elisha wanted to do something for them. So he said, when he had talked with a servant, he said, "You'll have a son next year." And then that came true, and the boy was maybe between, I don't think he's younger than 5, maybe 7, but no more than 10. So between 5 and 10, maybe. And then when he gets to whatever age he was, he died, and then Elisha, with the Lord's help, brought him back to life. So that's why they say the kindness has come back to us twice over. So you never know what you'll be doing when you do something special for somebody. They wanted to help him out by building him a room, which is exactly what they did. And then they had their son, and then the boy was brought back to life. So when you do a kindness to someone, you don't know how it may spread and how it may be different. So just keep that in mind, that you could be blessing somebody. So I hope you're all well and healthy. I believe the COVID is going down here where we live in Bradley County, Cleveland. And so that's good. I hope it's going down where everybody lives. Gas is going up, but other than that, we're doing well, and I hope you are too. And I hope you're blessed by these videos, and that somebody out there is watching them or will watch them. So I hope you're enjoying the weather wherever you are, and that you are blessed and enjoy these videos. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!